Welcome back to the Chapter Chunks. Today we're diving into a pivotal moment in history. What started the Cold War between the US and the Soviet Union? After World War II ended in 1945, Europe was in ruins. The US and the Soviet Union emerged as the two superpowers. But their alliance during the war was purely out of necessity, not shared ideology. The US championed capitalism and democracy, while the Soviet Union, under Joseph Stalin, pushed for communism and a state-controlled economy. These opposing ideologies set the stage for conflict. In 1946, Winston Churchill delivered his famous Iron Curtain speech, highlighting the division of Europe. The Soviet Union had taken control of Eastern European countries, installing communist governments in Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and others. The West saw this as a blatant spread of communism, while the Soviets viewed it as a necessary buffer against potential future invasions. In 1947, President Harry Truman announced the Truman Doctrine. This policy declared that the U.S. would support free peoples resisting subjugation by armed minorities or outside pressures. Initially, this meant providing aid to Greece and Turkey to prevent them from falling under Soviet influence. It was a clear sign that the U.S. was committed to containing communism. To rebuild war-torn Europe and prevent the spread of communism, the U.S. launched the Marshall Plan in 1948, providing over $12 billion in economic aid. The Soviet Union saw this as an attempt to undermine their influence in Europe and refused to allow Eastern European countries to participate, further deepening the divide. In 1948, the Soviet Union blocked all ground routes into West Berlin, trying to force the Allies out. In response, the U.S. and its allies launched the Berlin Airlift, supplying the city by air for almost a year until the Soviets lifted the blockade. This event solidified the division of Berlin and symbolized the broader East-West conflict. In 1949, the U.S. and Western European countries formed NATO, a military alliance aimed at defending against Soviet aggression. This move was perceived as a direct threat by the Soviet Union, which in turn formed the Warsaw Pact in 1955, cementing the military and ideological divide. The U.S. had a monopoly on nuclear weapons until 1949, when the Soviet Union tested its first atomic bomb. This ignited an arms race, with both superpowers rapidly building up their nuclear arsenals, leading to a tense standoff where the threat of mutual destruction loomed large. Both sides engaged in intense propaganda campaigns to win hearts and minds, portraying each other as the ultimate evil. Espionage also played a critical role, with spies infiltrating government and military institutions to gather intelligence and gain the upper hand. The Cold War turned hot in 1950, when North Korea, backed by the Soviet Union and China, invaded South Korea. The U.S. led a UN coalition to defend South Korea. The war ended in a stalemate in 1953, but it showed the willingness of both superpowers to engage in proxy wars to advance their interests. The Cold War saw numerous crises and confrontations, from the Cuban Missile Crisis to the Vietnam War. The mutual distrust and ideological opposition persisted until the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. The Cold War shaped global politics, economics, and military strategies for decades. And there you have it, the key events and factors that started the Cold War between the U.S. and the Soviet Union. A period marked by ideological clashes, military standoffs, and a constant threat of nuclear war. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into history's pivotal moments. Thanks for watching.